So let's get right into it. The project objectives. Connect Caribbean was formed with the idea of uniting the Caribbean, making access to the islands easier by developing an inter-island ferry network. And the advantages of that is that we will have economic growth, not just in terms of GDP, but also tourism. So while responding to the demand for better price travel and our cargo, we will be providing economic opportunities and increasing access to services for Caribbean residents. So the stakeholders in this, we're not just doing it by ourselves. We will rely on key stakeholders such as government bodies, local businesses, which will contribute to the economic input, environmental groups, which will hold us accountable for how we treat our environment, community members who will offer local insight and support, and of course, our international partners who will not just provide funding, but their expertise. So where travel is concerned, our ferries, we'll be linking key destinations. We'll be going as far up in phase 1, as far up as Antigua, and we'll be going as far south as Guyana and Suriname. Our vessels will come with quality amenities. I don't know how many of you have ever cruised before, and you become accustomed to the amenities like what Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Princess, P&O. We will be no different. The quality of our product will compete with theirs. We aim for a fraction of the cost to provide the same quality experience while providing island hopping opportunities. When you take a cruise on one of these regular cruise lines, what happens is you wake up somewhere different every day. Do you get to experience that destination though? Not really. With Connect Caribbean, not only will you be able to plan your itinerary, you will be able to plan on our platform all of your activities. So for example, if let's say you want to go from Barbados to St. Lucia, you can do that. You can explore on our platform all the activities available there. You can explore Airbnbs, for example. You can explore accommodation. And the one thing that we're proud of is that we will be enabling not just the big operators, but the small guy on the street. This question came up during one of our meetings where it was asked, are we going to be able to cater to those who might otherwise be invisible? The answer is yes. So most of us in here are Bajans. So when we drive up and down, let's say St. Lawrence Gap, we see vendors selling trinkets. We see tour operators. We see the ordinary taxi guy. We just celebrated T20 World Cup here in Barbados. And while it came off successfully, because we operate in the travel space, we did hear a few complaints from the taxi operators. They're saying, we don't get enough work. And that's a common thing around the Caribbean. I'm here to tell you today that our platform will allow us to work with each individual taxi operator if need be. So every single person at every level has an opportunity to excel and gain that vital tourism dollar with Connect Caribbean. All right. So one of the things that we aim to do that was spoken about earlier, I think Brandon mentioned it, where we were talking about how meticulously we're going to be planning our routes. We have been working with regional partners to get the data that tells us how Caribbean people move around. So one of the common questions I hear on a daily basis, Elroy, how long will it take me to get from Barbados to St. Vincent, for example? And I approximate for them. Let's say with a fast ferry, it takes, let's say, 2.5 hours. They say that's a long time. And I say, no, it's not. If you look at your current air travel scenario right now, you have to get to the airport an hour before that flight closes off. And you're getting ready to go to the airport. That's 2 hours already. And then you check in, you sit down for another hour inside the departure lounge. That's 3 hours. And then you gotta hope that your flight is on time. I tell you here today, when we tell you we will get you there in 2 to 2.5 hours, you maximize the use of your time. You don't spend your time sitting down twiddling thumbs in the departure lounge. You get to the ferry, you get to the port, you get on board the ferry, you get going. And I don't know how many of you remember the MV Windward service from in the 90s. I was around for it. I'm unfortunately never got to travel on it. But I have been regaled from the mention that we were creating Connect Caribe. I was regaled with so many stories of persons who went to Trinidad or St. Lucia for the weekend. They're like, Elroy, we had such a blast. We got on the boat for 6 p.m. We booked cabins. But when the boat left the dock, guess what happened? Duty-free store opened on board the vessel. One person shared with me, Elroy, we always traveled in groups. The women were responsible for the food, the men the drinks. When the boat left the dock, we were in the duty-free store, we got the liquor. Many times, the sun went down Friday afternoon. The sun came up Saturday morning. They never saw the cabins. They were having such a good time on board the vessel. We're going to have several amenities for everyone to take advantage of. So for those who may think, man, the ferry is slow, that time will pass so quickly you will not even notice. So when it comes to our, for example, ticketing, I want to talk a little bit about that. You log on to we're building our platform right now, but when we launch, it'll be a very rich platform. You'll be able to log on, create your profile. And we know, for example, let's say it is Mr. Hinkson here. When Anthony logs on, creates his profile. From his very first booking, we know who Anthony is. We get to know Anthony. As Anthony comes on board, when you purchase your ticket, you are provided your ticket instantaneously. You get a QR code. So the days of having a boarding pass in your hand being printed, that's done. We're cutting that time down tremendously. When you buy your ticket, it comes to you on your device. You get a QR code. You show up at the port and your ticket gets scanned by security so you can get on board the vessel. It's that simple. On the same platform, you can pay for other amenities. So for example, if it's going to be a long trip, you may want a meal. If it's an early morning travel, you may want breakfast, a nice, wholesome Caribbean breakfast, not the continental breakfast that we are so weary of. So, and believe you me, we will be offering traditional Caribbean style wholesome breakfast on board our vessels. So if you want that meal, if you miss, I'm not saying we're going to have, for example, bakes, pretty Bajans over here, but you'll have a full meal. So you may want to, you can pay for those meals when you're purchasing your ticket, or you can pay for those meals while you're on board. You'll also have amenities such as Wi-Fi. So if you're like when Brandon arrived here today, Brandon was still in the tizzy on the laptop. So for persons who are busy like Brandon, if you want to get work done while traveling, we will have Wi-Fi on board. We will cater, we will even have different classes. So because we know that we're going to have a wide variety of persons on board our vessels, you may be the business traveler. Do you want to be sitting down with, let's say, a family? You're trying to knock out a presentation. You may want a little peace and quiet. We're going to have a business class for you where you can sit down, knock your presentation out, and get your meals served directly to you. So you don't have to get up and go anywhere. You can sit down, order your meals from your mobile device of choice, and your meals come to you. Whether you have a cabin, whether you have a seat, you can order your meals, they come to you. We're even going to have an area where, for example, those of you traveling with kids. From personal experience, I have a nephew. He's now 15, thank God. But there was a time when he was quite young and quite noisy. And while you love your kids, to the best of your heart, there are times when you need your own personal space. Guess what? Just because you're on the ferry, it doesn't mean you are trapped. We're going to have an area where those kids can explore and play and create safely, while the adults go into adult things. They can go to one of our onboard bars. They can go and mingle with others and know that their kids are taken care of securely. Right. So one of the other things that our service will allow as well, because we talked about cargo a lot earlier. As I traverse Bridgetown, I'm always in Bridgetown these days. One of the most famous streets in Bridgetown is Swan Street. And we know Swan Street for being the mercantile class. Garb of all types. Vendors who fly in from, let's say they go to Suriname. They buy clothing to resell. They come back here and they sell it. One of the chief complaints we've always heard is, man, Elroy, I hope your service takes off, because when I coming back from Suriname, I want to come with 2-3 suitcases and the airline's charging me an arm and a leg. And because they get charged these high costs, they have to pass that along to you, the consumer. So one of the things we aim to revolutionize is that we're going to lower the cost, because as was alluded to earlier, we're not just going to be moving container loads. We're going to be moving less than container loads. And I don't just mean a pallet. If you want to move all water, you can do that, all at good rates. And because you will be on our platform, our ticketing platform will talk to the e-commerce platform. It'll talk to the shipping platform, everything interconnected. So gone are the days when, for example, I know Mr. Holder would remember the days when, let's say you're bringing in a car, you gotta go get an import license. You gotta go, you purchase the vehicle, you gotta find a broker, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. You're running 6 and 7 different places. With Connect Carib, you come to one place. It all gets done in one place. And the same person that buys a ticket to travel from Barbados to St. Lucia, that same person is the same person who sells on our e-commerce platform. That same person ships via our shipping platform. And because they all talk to one another, it means you don't have to sign up 2 and 3 times. You sign up once. If you're familiar with doing e-commerce online, account for eBay, account for Amazon. If you want to sell, that's a separate account. Gone are those days. As I travel the length and breadth of Barbados, when I relate these kind of things to the clients, they always say, Elroy, is this thing for real? I always get that. And you know what I was told last time? I actually have a client who says, Elroy, I want to get some stuff from Suriname. I want to get containers from Suriname. He wants to take, I ran into another client yesterday. He's like, Elroy, it's costing me an arm and a leg. When my children finish studying for the semester at UWI in Trinidad, they don't want to stay, they want to come home. Airline tickets for him, $900 per child. So that's $1,800. Not everybody has $1,800 on a whim. We aim to revolutionize that. In our internal discussions, we aim to have ticketing for most destinations at about up to 60% of what it would cost you to travel there via air. That's a significant savings. If you compare, for example, if you wanted to compare a cruise to a multi-hop destination with us, the average cruise is about, let's say, $2,400 Barbados. And that's $2,400 just to get on the boat. That's not spending money. That's not restaurants, nothing. That's not activities, nothing. For that same $2,400, you can plan a multi-destination itinerary with Connect Caribbean. Save instantly. And with those savings, book activities. If you want to eat at fancy restaurants while you're there, do that. The sky is literally the limit when you travel with us. And one of the things we're able to do is we are able to, for example, we are a region full of festivals. We have Crop Over that we're in the midst of right now. We just had Tipsy. Forgive me, I'm not a party person. We had Trinidad Carnival early this year. We normally have St. Lucia Jazz Festival, and St. Vincent has just had their carnival as well. And we are not going to be one of those maritime transportation or transportation providers that we're rigid. Now, just last week, because of my relationship with GS Cruises and Tours, we put on a recruitment drive for Emirates. And one of the things we had to do was get persons from around the region into Barbados. Now, because of the rigid structure in the region, planning flights was hard. One of the things that Connect Caribbean intends to do, because we know that these festivals and activities are coming up, and we know the plans of our travelers to get to these festivals. Even the same T20 World Cup, we will ramp up our capacity to accommodate all of you. So in a nutshell, I really wish we had more time to talk about it. Jennifer is signaling to me that I'm running out of time. Sorry about that. But we are excited about where we're going with this. The possibilities for job creation, for example, endless. When we boost tourism, the spin-off industries that benefit as a result, endless. When we with our newer vessels, because we are always looking at the different vessels as well, we're going to be able to reduce our carbon footprint. we're not just starting out with diesel and just sticking with that. We'll be moving on to hydroelectric and others. So we are very excited to see what you guys, meaning the traveling public, do with our vessels. So thank you for your time.